Good afternoon, Norcal Carters. This is Jason, and this is a little special episode. Today, we have Norcal cart driver, Larry Stevens. Larry, say hello.
How you doing, everybody?
So thank you for joining us today. And for those of you wondering why Larry is on, Larry and I are going to discuss the NCK road racing scene. And Larry has a background in both road racing and in sprint racing. But we're really here, let's not sugarcoat it, we're here to hype up the SpeedVegas event that's taking place in April. And again, that's going to be SpeedVegas. That's just on the outskirts of Las Vegas. And that event is on April 10th and the 11th, I believe. It's a Saturday-Sunday event under the lights. Give me 1 second here. How are you doing, Larry?
I'm doing really good, Jason.
Well, thank you for joining us. So I was talking to Mark Morrison, president NCK, and I was looking for people to talk to for SpeedVegas, and your name came up. And I go, oh, that's perfect. I know Larry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you ran at SpeedVegas last year, correct?
Yes. Yeah, it was had a good time down there. Excellent weather. Traction was great. The track was super smooth. Couldn't ask for a better venue.
And just give our listeners a little bit of insight. Let's start current. We'll go backwards, then we'll go back forward again. So currently,
okay.
You're an NCK road racer. You run a tag-powered cart. So in road racing, what is your class called? It's
tag heavy, and we have different weight classifications for that class depending on what engine package you run. It's usually anywhere from 400 pounds for the Leopards. The X30s are 405. The Rocks are 415. The Rotaxes are 410. So that's usually the engine packages that run with us.
Okay. And so last year, that was the first time a sanctioned event actually took place on the SpeedVegas track. And I've talked to a number of different drivers, a couple of shifter guys, a couple of tag guys, a couple 250 guy, and everybody said it was just a great track. You already highlighted it being smooth.
Oh yeah.
What are some other details of the track that you just found very interesting, or another facility you could compare it to?
Well, first off, I would say that it's really close to Thunderhill West. It's that type of track that keeps you busy. It's like a big sprint track. When I went on to YouTube, it took a drive around in a car just to get a feel for it, to figure out my gear ratio. That's how I was able to do it. And then you go to the track and you realize that the elevation change from when you come out of the turn to come onto the front straightaway, the elevation change is a lot more drastic than it is when you look at the YouTube video. So it's a gradual uphill going all the way into turn one, and it's probably about a half a mile long from what I understand. And then you got a quick series of right, left-hand turns, and then you go on to like a carousel left-hander to head you back down the hill through a series of S's. And it's a very fun track to drive. And since we drive a lot of the same tracks all the time, it was really nice to go on a track that we'd never been on before. I'm always looking for a challenge, and that was a fun race to go to.
And how, in general, being that SpeedVegas it's a purpose-built racetrack, but basically for the tourist crowd to go drive supercars like the Ferraris and the Porsches and Lamborghinis, and I don't know what else they have there. But how did you find as a racer coming into the facility, how is parking, how is access to the track, how are those kind of finer details that, a lot of times we just take for granted when we go to an established racetrack?
Yeah, they when they first pulled into the track, the asphalt that we had to park our trailers on and then disconnect because it was a little on the small side. But once we disconnected, you could park on the dirt with your tow vehicle, and I think they use that. What do they call them for drifting and that kind of stuff?
Like a skid pad.
Like a skid pad, yes. It was just like a skid pad. And I don't know if they're going to enlarge that. They're probably not going to enlarge it for this race, but the plans in the future, I don't know. That's why they limited it to, I guess, 25 people, 20 by 40 sections that you can rent for this race. I think it was $125 for that size of a pad for for pitting. And they didn't do that last time. Everybody just came in, was able to park wherever. So I think Mark wanted to make it a little more organized, and to keep as many people on the pad as possible, so because they can, they can pair up with their, the other drivers if they want to, like I did. I got my son-in-law, Jason Conner, coming, and then Bryant Thomas is also going to pit with me, so we're going to take up our space. And but yeah, that's the way it was. And the people that were actually using the facility for renting the cars, they were very interested in the karts, which is just something else that they could actually watch, because we ran the race by groups, and the karting group would go out, and then right after the karting group was done, then there would be a car group that would go out, and they alternated those throughout the day. And so it was really a good system. I was really happy with that. Gave you about 2.5 hours in between the 3 races we ran that last time there. So yeah, it was a well planned out event.
How many hours?
It was about 2.5 hours of time in between the 3 races throughout the day, because I ran at 9 o'clock in the morning after practice, and then our second heat was at 12. They had a lunch break in between there sometime, and then our third race was at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was well spaced out. If you needed to do any work, you could build a whole new cart in that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but you had 2 to 2.5 hours of actual track time.
2 to 2.5 hours of time in between each race.
Oh, time in between. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got confused because I know the road racing crowd. I mean, it's your heat races are 20 to 30 minutes long each, so you also do get a lot of track time. Right.
And there's usually about an hour and a half of practice at any of our races. I think there's about that much time for the SpeedVegas race in October.
Okay.
But like I said, 2.5 hours in between races. You were on the track 20 to 30 minutes of racing time. And the time started right when you entered the track as the group, and you came around and took the green flag. So that whole time going on and off, that was included in the total time.
Got it. And then just to kind of give people a feel for the track, you have already described the layout, but the length is 1.5 miles, 12 turns. They have some banking, up to 15 degrees of banking, and then also elevation change, 60 feet of a total elevation change. Now, do you feel that in the cart? Do you feel?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
so when you're going uphill, you feel the load, and when you're going downhill, you feel the acceleration.
Yes. Yes, and then when you get to the last corner, where the big, it's basically a bank turn, big like 180-degree turn that enters onto the front straightaway. It's banked pretty good, but when you come out of that, then you can shoot up the hill, and you feel it all the way up. The motor should pull all the way up the hill, if you have it set up right.
Okay, all right, and so I'm assuming you're going back in April, correct? You mentioned you're dragging a team along with you, so
yeah, I'm doing
that kind of speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think everybody tries to do that, tries to get more people interested. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled my son-in-law back out of it. He hadn't been out in the track in his kart in a little over 10 years. And so he has a Rotax package. He's going to be running that. My friend Bryant Thomas, he's going to be running the Rock GP along with me in both our new GFC carts, tag carts, the SS31s. That's what we're going to be running, and it'll be our second race for it. Unfortunately, Bryant won't be racing after that race because he's going in for hip surgery. I think it's the 18th.
Oh,
so
okay.
He'll be out for about 6 to 8 months, depending on how fast he recovers. But yeah, Jason's coming back out and joining us and riding down with me and my wife. So
very cool. And that's another reason we're doing this podcast today is to help promote it, help get the entries in. I was talking to Mark earlier today. Right now they have approximately 50 drivers that are pre-registered for the event. But one of the things that always comes back as far as feedback to NCK, I've heard it myself in talking to Mark. He says probably the number one obstacle is just the cost of road racing. And we can't overstate it. I've stated it many times. The reality is the road racing tracks are just more expensive to race.
Yep.
And when you're looking at your entry list and you can go, oh yeah, this track usually draws 50 drivers. This track usually draws 80 drivers. This track usually draws 60, whatever the numbers are, then that's what the promoters have to go by to kind of forecast their numbers. And I know Mark's looking to draw, 30 more drivers for this event. We still have, 3 weeks to do it. And, I mean, you guys are racing under the lights. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be under the lights on Saturday night. And I guess Mark is in the track. They're pulling in like 56 light standards. He says it's going to be brighter than probably the sun. I'm still going to wear my clear face mask, just in case.
Yeah,
be fun.
He gave me the numbers on the lights that were coming in. And I'm not a promoter. I don't ever help with setup of tracks or anything else. But when he gave me the numbers, I have them written down and I lost my notepad. I thought it was beyond overkill, which is great. It's always nice to have more lights than not enough.
I've always been to tracks that didn't have enough lights,
Yeah. You get those blind spots or the dark areas where your eyes just can't quite adjust to the whole track. It makes it a little bit different.
Yeah. Especially when the reason I brought that up, Jason, was because I used to race motocross when I was younger, and a lot of those races were at night, and there wasn't a whole lot of lights around the track. So this is going to be nice. Of course, that was 50 years ago.
Yeah, I think the build alone just for the lights it's going to be between $10,000 and $13,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's not cheap, but I think that's what the number was for just the lights.
You need to get a casino to donate those.
Yeah, isn't that always the dream of the Carters to get the outside sponsors to come in?
It would be nice, yes.
Sorry, I'm not sidetracked. I was scrambling looking for my note that I had with Mark.
No, I'll always wait for you to get back to me if I see a dead or hear a dead spot or something.
Well,
yeah, I figure you're doing something.
Yeah, my regular listeners kind of know that's like, okay, where's he going now? Is he even with us anymore? Yeah, well, I was doing taxes, and so my mess. I'm not going to lie. My desk is not always perfectly organized, but I organized it, got it all cleaned up. Then I started doing taxes, so then I had the papers all over the place, and it's like, oh, wait, I can't find my note from Mark.
Well, just to let you know, you're probably like most people, Jason.
Yeah, as soon as I hit end, it'll be like right in front of me. But yeah, so it's like a $10,000 or $13,000 bill just for the lights. So
wow.
If that tells anyone how many lights that NCK is bringing in, it's going to be really neat. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I mentioned earlier, you have a sprint background, you have a road racing background. Let's go to the beginning. Did you start with road racing or did you start with sprint?
I started with sprint racing, and I started with my son, Derek, who's the same age as you now, back in, I think it was 88 or 89. he ran Junior Sportsman with, I think Joey Hand was running at that time. I think Derek was a little older than Joey at the time. And then Fagone, the Fagones were running. We were running all the IKF events, and he was running Junior Sportsman and then Junior 3 with a pipe.
Okay.
And I believe that at that time, Junior 3 was probably the fastest class because they only weighed like 280 pounds with a full pipe with a restrictor, and that was it. I didn't start racing until, I don't know, probably about 3 or 4 months after Derek started because I didn't want to go to the races and just watch him. I needed to participate. I'm a competitor and competed in a lot of different things, hobbies and stuff throughout my life. So I wanted to pick up an old Emic cart with a Yamaha on it, pipe on, or Sportsman can. And so I run Senior Sportsman. And that's where we started. And then I started road racing, I believe it was in 92. I picked up a road race Yamaha sprint cart and started doing that. It had a belt drive system on it with the engine clutch, Horseman engine clutch, and which I've converted since then to an axle clutch, an SMC axle clutch. And we need to get more Yamahas out there because I know they're sitting in garages now, tons of them, But it's like anything, we've all gotten older and moved on to other things. But that's where I started. And then I was racing RC cars since 1979 for several model manufacturers over the years, up till about 2001. Then I got into 8-scale cars, let the go-karts go for a while. And then I got back into karting around 2000, I think it was 2007, 2006, somewhere there with my Yamaha. Got back in with that. And then I picked up a tag cart, Emic Patriot, with a Leopard on it in, I think it was 2010, either 9 or 10, and ran that for a while. And I got an X30, ran it on there for a while. And then I just picked up a new GFC cart with a Sweet Tech Rock on it. That's what I'm going to start running. My other son, my oldest son that was racing with me, he was 160 pounds when he was 13 years old, so he got a little discouraged because all the kids that he was running against were a lot smaller than him. He's just as fast, but I told him, I said, don't get discouraged. You're just as fast as them because your weight just takes you a little longer to get there, so stuck with it for a while. Then he got into football and never got into a kart after that. So that's the history.
That's the history. And so for somebody that's a sprint racer, would you, in your honest opinion, would you feel SpeedVegas would be a good first-time event to go to? I'm kind of in the middle. I'm a sprint guy. I've done a few road races, but I'm definitely nowhere near a road race expert or anything else. But at 1.5 miles, I imagine, the carts are probably topping out at about 100, 110. To me, it seems like a good track to get somebody acclimated to the faster speeds of road racing.
No, I would be, if I was sitting in the driver's seat, I'd be less intimidated going road racing on a shorter big track than a long big track. Because on a longer big tracks, the drafting comes into it more so. Not that it doesn't on the 1.5 mile tracks. It still does on the straightaways and different areas around the track. But I think it's the perfect place for anybody coming on a sprint to try it out and not be afraid of the speeds. The speeds that you were talking about, 110, is in the shifter classes. We're probably hitting close to 90. We're averaging probably close to 80 around that track with a tag. And but I think it's the most comfortable place you would be to try it out. And the gearing would just be the only thing you'd have to change basically on the kart. And but I would definitely recommend a shorter track like that, or even Thunder Hill West, when that comes up later in the year. But SpeedVegas, I absolutely love that track. I would recommend that for anybody that's beginning road racing.
Okay. And then, since you mentioned gear, without giving away the top secret ratio for the tag class, where would you tell the new guy to start off with if they had to put a gear on in their garage?
Well, I've always been one to be upfront and honest with everybody, because I feel that the only way you're going to keep people in the sport is to allow them to know that they're going to possibly be able to go as fast as the fast guys are. So I'll give you a ballpark on each engine package for tag. The Rotax, if you still run a Rotax Max, I don't know about the EVO. It might be one or two teeth different. Would probably be 4.6 to 1, which is somewhere around 1673 to 1676. On the X30, the ratio would be somewhere around 4.2 to 1, which is around 1684. On the Rock, 4.9 to 1, like a 1679. Now I'm talking about, within 2 or 3 teeth going up in teeth. It all depends on your weight too. Those are the weights that I would say you would run for the particular weight, if you're really close to your tag weight. Like I was saying, for the X30, it's like 405, and the Rotax is 400. The Rock is 415, and there's several other motors that are eligible to run too, but I don't remember what those class weights are. But those are the gear ratios they are. And if you have any other questions, if you're at a race, whatever, I'm more than welcome to help anybody out.
Yeah, that's great information, because I know when I worked at SpeedTech, that was always the number one question. It's like, oh, what gear should I start with, or what jetting should I start with?
Yep. It also depends, Jason, too, is rear tire circumference. I know I'm getting technical now, but rollout is important. So depending on if you got a smaller circumference compared to a larger circumference, you're going to run a different gear ratio.
So what tire brand do you run?
I've been running for Maxxis. I'm actually sponsored by Maxxis Tires. They're located in South Carolina. They're mainly a dirt oval tire company that got into sprint racing. They want to get more people into sprint racing on pavement and road racing, and they picked me to develop a tire that's out now, and it's been out for a couple of years, and it's very, very good and cost effective. I've run them all the different tire brands and stuff, and I've been running this tire for the last 6 years or so, and through the generations of tire development and stuff. Very happy with it. They're very consistent on circumference on front and rear tires, and they don't take a whole lot of weight. And you can contact them at maxxiskartracing.com and go through their sprint tires and their dirt oval tires and all that kind of stuff and pick out what you want. They do have rain tires too, which I haven't had a chance to run yet. The rain tires have always been, you put them in your trailer and it usually doesn't rain when you go to the race,
Well, if you have them in the trailer and mounted, you don't ever need them.
Yeah.
And then guys like me ask for them 2 years later.
I know. And then I've got 2 brand new sets. They just came out with a brand new rain tire that it's been out for about a year and a half, and I've never been able to run it. Looking forward to running it, but yeah. So that's the tire I run. I'm trying to get people to run, and I'm very, very happy with them.
Okay. And then since you mentioned rollout, off the top of your head, do you know what the rollout is on the rear? So that way guys that might have an MG or a Bridgestone or something else, they can measure theirs.
Yeah, I'll give you the circumference. Usually 34 and a quarter, 34 and a half in that area. But like I said, these tires are really consistent. They're really close within, 16th to an eighth of an inch of that, most of the time. Where other brands have been way off. You can it's almost like you put a set of tires on, you should be going around in a circle, because of the offset of the tire, But you got a lot of people just mount their tires and they don't even think about balancing them. They don't think about making sure the tires are equal on both sides so the cart don't pull one way or the other. But balancing for road racing, even in sprint, I balance tires, and always balance your tires in sprint and in road racing for sure. And I always just use the right front spindle or the left front spindle just to balance my tires on. I don't have a tire. I have tire jigs, but I just find it better just to do it on the cart, on the front tire.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I sell a wheel balancer. They're expensive. They're $288.
Well, I know. And what I found with those, some of them, not all of them, is that you can start spinning the tire, and the darn tire sit there spinning for, 15 minutes before it stops. So I just find it better just use the front spindle. That's me.
Yeah, no, that's great information because we have gear ratio, we have tire rollout. Again, the whole idea is that one guy that's just sitting on the fence going, I've always wanted to try to road race, and the more information we can help them to get out there, the better.
Well, if you don't balance your tires, Jason, especially in the front, it's more critical on the front than the rear. Even though you need to do both, but by doing the front tires, if you don't do those, your steering wheel is going to be shaking out of your hand if it's way out of balance. So to keep things smooth and also to get optimum speed out of your cart, you have to balance your tires.
Well, it's all about efficiency, right? With karting.
Yes.
A lot of people want to scream and yell about, I need more horsepower, but when was the last time they changed their rear axle bearings or properly aligned and straightened their cart to make sure everything was true? And last time they changed a chain. I mean, all these little things.
Well, that's the other thing too. You mentioned chains. I've been running I run an O-ring chain for longevity. They last longer. They don't stretch as much. I was given that information by the guy that a guy that I started racing tag with when I first got my tag cart. He said, get an O-ring chain. I actually ran one of my chains. This is going to sound crazy, but I ran for 5 years with no problem. And, changing gears, just make sure. But the chain was fine, so I decided I'm going to go get another one. And I got several lengths because they come in certain lengths depending on what gear ratio you're going to run. Instead of having to split the chain, I just bought different chains at different lengths, so that I could just adapt them to the gear ratio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've also been a fan of having different lengths just so you're not moving the engine. You kind of,
exactly.
some engines weigh 45, 50 pounds.
Yep.
And sitting there moving those a half an inch forward or back is going to, change your balance.
Oh, definitely. Yep.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, we have SpeedVegas. It's you ran there last year. You've been road racing for a while. You think it's a great track. You think it's an even better track for the new guy. What's something that might entice someone to come out?
Well, the first thing is you got to make a commitment one way or the other. If you want to just come out and watch and check it out and talk to the drivers, check out the equipment, ask a bunch of questions, get information, because information is power. I don't care what you're involved in. If you don't want to just show up at a race with a cart and then have to go through a bunch of changes and stuff on the cart. It's better to get that information before you get to the track, so you have less to do at the track. So if you do that before you go down to SpeedVegas and have, like I said, you're going to have to change the gear on the engine, especially in the tag class. I can't tell you what the ratios are for shifter and stuff, but in supercars. But for the tag, most everybody runs a 16-tooth driver. You get plenty of time to pick one of those up, and either from places like Fast Tech or Acceleration. There's lots of companies around the country, Comet Carts. Anyway, you can pick that stuff up that you need in your chains and stuff, gear in your rear gears, and that's really the only change, just the gears mainly. And but I would highly recommend, if you got the time, which there is, 2.5 weeks or so before, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that before the race. You want to make a commitment to do it. There's plenty of people around the pits that are helping people out that are in trouble, because we want people to stay in the sport. We don't like people to leave. We're all getting older, and most of the people in the club are older guys, but we're all willing to help anybody that's new. So come on out.
Until they're faster than you?
Well, I'll tell you what, like I was telling you earlier, Jason, that is a good comment. And a lot of people think that way. And it does cross my mind a lot of times, because you work really hard to get as fast as you are. And you don't want to really give all the information that you worked so hard on, but you don't want to lose any drivers in your classes either. So I would rather have everything set up exactly the same, which that'll never happen, and just beat somebody on the track with your driving ability. Because that's really what it comes down to, is a combination of both. But if you can help somebody out to get them close to where you are, they can figure out the rest, and then just leave it up to track time. Run a lot of laps and get your confidence built up. And it's just a big family. NCK is a big family. We're willing to help everybody.
And I noticed that as well when I started getting behind the wheel a couple of years ago at the road race stuff. I was able to call a couple of the shifter guys, and I was very honest with them. I said, "Look, just get me in the ballpark. I don't want to show up to the track with a 15:25 on if I should have a 19:22. It just get me in the ballpark." And I was actually very surprised with the gentleman that I spoke with, all front runners, and they just said, "No, this is what I'm running." And it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yep.
But I've been around for so long on the industry side of it. I'm always so cognizant of how much time and effort people put in to testing or research or going to the track. I mean, it's not free to go to the track and test. It costs money. So I'm always, that's always on the front of my mind. It's like, I don't want to give away that guy's information, because they're the ones that put in all that money and time to go find that information. But it is helpful when you can just show up and say, okay, I know this gear is close. And I guess without being too brash, if you can't figure it out from there, maybe you just need a lot more practice.
Yeah, and preparation, like you're talking about, and this is a normal comment by all racers. The races are won at home, or before you actually go to the track. Your preparation of your go-kart or your race car is the most important thing before you get to the track. You want to do as little as possible once you get to the track. You want to make sure everything is right to what you think it's going to be. And then if it's not, then you make those changes, and hopefully they're quick changes you need to do at the track. Yeah. That's the best advice I can give you.
Yeah, fine-tuning and quick changes.
Yes. Yeah, last weekend, when we raced up at Thunder Hill, when I was doing a new shakedown on that GFC kart with the Rock motor package, that's new to me. It was cold as heck. It was windier than heck. I think we had like 25, 30-mile-an-hour headwinds.
Oh, my. And
that's why times were so slow, or slower than normal, 3 to 4 seconds, 5 seconds off. And anyway, getting used to a new kart. I needed to change the gear, but I was doing well enough to where I was comfortable, and I just kept running what I had. And I know what I need. I ended up, I think I got 2 seconds and a third, and I spun off the track when I got the third. But anyway, I was happy with that, and I didn't want to put forth that extra little effort to maybe get a few more miles an hour out of it, which I know it's got, but I know it's there for the next time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Is there is there any final words you want to share with anybody? Any other advice you have? Well,
I'd like to invite everybody to all of our NCK races. You can check it out on the NCK Road Racing website. We have United States karting Grand Prix that's going to be at the old Miller Motorsports Park in Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. I think that's in July. I was there, I think it was around 10 years ago for the big race they had there, and I ran a Leopard at that time. We ran the full track at that time. They're going to run the 2.25-mile track, I think, this time. And so there's enough time out there for that race to get ready for. But I think Mark is trying to put together some other races, like maybe at Buttonwillow, and some other races around close by for NCK. And looking forward to those. But just check out the website, nckroadracing.com, and try and just come out and watch just to see if you may be interested in it. But don't do yourself a disservice and not even try to look into some other form of racing. That I know that when you get older, even when you're younger, the young kids they actually try this out, are having a blast. And we have a 17-year-old that comes out and runs with us in tag. I think it's Larry O'Neill's grandson. Who is it, Dominic?
Okay.
He comes out and does very well. And I'm going to say this, I'd rather run with him than a lot of guys that are racing, because he's such a good, clean driver at that age. I just wish he was a little older so he could actually participate at some of the other tracks that we run at. They do have age requirements at some of the tracks, but they keep you up on that as the entries, as the different races come up. As to like Laguna Seca, they have a certain age. I think you got to be 18 at Laguna. Thunder Hill's a different age. I think you got to be 16 there, but it does change. So if you're interested in road racing, come out and check it out. Before you go out and buy any gears or stuff, if you're questioning that. And that's about all I can say, though, Jason.
All right. Yeah, and like Larry said, the website's NCKroadracing.com. And this year you guys actually moved over to Motorsports Reg for your registration and your, I guess, event admin website.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people will be happy for that. So if you actually go to Motorsports Reg and you find the NCK event, you could easily get to it from either norcalcarters.com on our calendar, or, this is going to confuse some people, nckroadracing.com. We are not the same association, just my site is just focused on NorCal Carter Racing, and Northern California Carters just happens to be the road racing segment.
I got one other thing to say, Jason.
Yes.
That I just thought of that people should be aware of is road racing is an open tire club. In any road racing, it's open tire unless the rules state otherwise by a spec tire or something. But as far as I know, you can run any tire brand you want.
Okay.
And so the fuel also, the track supply, they have fuel at the tracks that you go to, because they are big tracks like Laguna Seca, Sears Point, Buttonwillow, Thunder Hill. All those big tracks have got fuel available. Usually the octane that you're needing to run for your motor. If not, then you can go at these fuel places around the Sacramento area or wherever you're at. Ramos Fuel has, I think, Summit or Sunoco, and VP is available at other places.
Support local. Support local.
Yes. Yeah, support local. Yeah.
Support local.
The tracks first. Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to give you an array of things that are out there, options that are out there for you.
Yep. No, that's good information. Then if you also go to the NCK website, if you can click to register for their event for Speed Vegas, and when you get to the Motorsports Reg first page, what you need to do is just click continue, and it will take you to an event primer page that will have the waivers, the race day schedule, the costs, when you can move in, the length of the track, which we kind of already went over in the podcast, all the information that's kind of going to be pretty important for you. will be on that Motorsports Reg registration page.
Yeah, one last thing. The race format is set up right now for 3 separate individual races that are scored separately for points. So they're not all. It's not like the sprint races where you have qualifying and all that, and then you have a main event. Each race counts all by itself for points.
Got it. So you're going to have one race that's a standalone points event, and you get to do that 3 times.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah, that is a little bit different for the sprint stuff because, as you just mentioned in sprint racing, we kind of build up for the main event.
Yeah, plus you get a lot more track time. You got an hour and a half of practice. That's before the races actually start, and then like I said, you get at least 20 minutes to a half an hour race on the track. So that's up to like an hour and a half of race time, seat time. So you compare that to track day times for real cars. I think they pay the same price.
Yeah, I actually did a breakdown, article breakdown a few months ago for NCK, and if you got rid of the big entry fee number and broke it down in terms of track time and the amount spent racing or on the track, road racing actually turned out to be cheaper. And I did factor in tires and fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Larry, anything else? This has been great.
No, that pretty much sums it up, Jason. I'm looking forward to the race at Speed Vegas. Can't wait with a new kart and engine package and stuff, and waiting to see everybody again in the club. Like I said, it's a big family. So come out and watch, or bring your kart out and race already prepped to go.
Yeah, so for those that missed it at the beginning, again, April 10th and the 11th is the Speed Vegas event hosted by the NCK Road Racers. And all the information can be either found at norcalcarters.com by clicking on our calendar, or you can go directly to nckroadracing.com. And on the right-hand side of their website, they have a big button that you can register for the next event.
Yeah, I believe the M Resort is where the club has got their hotel reservations at discount.
Yes.
Which is it's about a mile and a half away from the track, just down the hill towards Vegas.
Yep, M Resort, and then you can book that even through the Motorsports Reg site.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Also,
Larry, anything else?
Did I talk your ear off?
No. Dude, I love talking.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. My wife is always pulling me by the shirt. Yeah, we got to get going,
Yeah, it's like, oh, you mean I get to talk about racing? Okay.
Yeah.
The only
I hope
thing
I helped
would be
everybody
food.
out. Hope I helped everybody out that's thinking about racing, because we do need more entries and stuff, and it'll just help it out.
Well, absolutely. Well, that's karting in general. I mean, not just the road racers. I mean, clubs all over the country are need bigger numbers, and every segment of karting is affected. And that's one of the reasons I tried doing this podcast is let's just try a different form of media to reach people, to get new blood into the sport. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you want to go road race. It doesn't matter if you want to go to local Prairie City or Sonoma, or if you just want to go out on a Thursday and just go pound laps with your buddies. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just let's get people back on the track.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think that's how I'm going to wrap up the podcast. I'm going to say bye to the listeners, but if you want to hang on for a moment, and then we'll wrap up offline.
Okay, that sounds good, Jason.
All right, everyone, thank you. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please click the share button, send it to your friends, and check out our schedule at norcalcarters.com.